Welcome to the Puck and Pigskin Podcast, presented by Belly Up Sports. Just great sports fans talking mostly about hockey and football, sprinkled with a bit of everything else. Now, here's your host, a Flames fan with a Golden Knights backup plan, Jason Bizik.
Gonna save the cursing and everything. Jason, it's 3-1 now. I mean, look, I don't think any of us thought that the season was going to be undefeated as much as we wished it was. In some ways, I'm going to give you the cliche. It's good to get these kind of games out of the way early than late. And I think you saw all the bad with this team and you saw all the good with this team.
All in one game.
All in one game. Yeah, it really kind of, the momentum was there with them. And then it all kind of went downhill after the Ruggs play. The play calling there, I don't know what was going on with the play calling there. It kind of went back to the play calling that stalled us in the first half. It was like, run. Okay, it was an okay 2-5 run. But at that point, look for Waller, look for somebody else, look for Renfro. And then it ran it again, I think, at that play. And it's like, what are we doing? Why are we going back to just being so boring here when we were just starting to really jive with the offense?
Yeah, I know. I'm just going to see if I can put this out that we're alive.
Well, as you do that, I'll kind of just hit in a few. First off, I guess, this is the Raider cast, but all respect to the Chargers. It was an away game for them in many circumstances in this game. You could hear Herbert having to cover his helmet at times. He had a great game in this game. Justin Herbert, he goes 222 yards, 25 of 38, and he throws 3 touchdowns. Austin Eckler was fantastic on the ground, averaging 7.8 yards. That's something the Raiders are going to have to look at, as the amount of yards that they gave to Austin Eckler, and he ran for 117 yards. Roundtree, he was a pain in the ass. Jared Cook, the former Raider, he got the touchdown. And I mean, the frustrating thing when you go against this Chargers team is that they just go for it every fourth down, it seems like. Mm-hmm. And that's the most frustrating thing. I sent the tweet out of just being like, how are you supposed to stop a team if they just go for it on every fourth down? It's impossible. It's almost next to impossible to stop a team with the quarterback play and the weapons that they have. If they're just not – when they got to 4th and 3, I think it was like, okay, cool, we got the ball back. Great. And then they go for it. And look, Perriman almost popped it out of Cook there. It was that close. Yeah. It was a great play by Perriman, but he couldn't pop it out. And the result is 28-14 loss for the Raiders. And I think, a big part of that is you just can't start that far back in the first half.
Yeah, that was definitely a big difference going down so early. But one thing I noticed in that first half was the defense was very solid. That game, we could have easily been down 28-0 in the first half. So, I mean, I give full credit to our defense in the first half anyway.
Without the 2 key cornerbacks, no Trayvon Mullen, who's the best of the cornerbacks. And I know Raider fans have their mix of Damien Arnett, but he was better than not having him in. Meek Robertson did everything he could, but being 5'8" against a tall guy, a tall tight end in Jared Cook, that's a mismatch there. They had the same in a mismatch also on Mike Williams. That was the other one they had, and they never went to Mike Williams. I was surprised they didn't do that as much as they did, having that mismatch. So I give the Raiders all the credit with their secondary being as limited as it was, and obviously too the O-line, it just was a mess. It got better in the second, but the O-line is having a lot of problems right now. And we talked about that last week, even in the Dolphins game, right? We talked about it for the Steelers game. We talked about it for the Ravens game, that this O-line is a problem, and it's frustrating when you see someone like Rodney Hudson in Arizona, the only undefeated team now in the NFL, and what he's doing with Arizona at the center position. And man, do they miss a guy like Rodney Hudson right now.
Yeah, I mean, full credit to Justin Herbert too, because hell of a game he played. Carr was not far behind. I mean, Carr was 21 for 34, 196 yards. Like you were saying, though, it's those fourth down conversions that if you're going to go for it, you got to make those. And missed field goal there also by Carlson. So
who never misses. He had made 28 in a row before then. I mean, and I will say, like, I thought that was the right call to kick the field goal at that point, because you're only down by that point. You're down by what, 4 at that point? So I'm like, okay, that's not the wrong way. The way the defense has been playing, there's still like 9 minutes left. I'm not against this call, because when you get it, you put it in Carr's hand, you come down and you can win this still. And even when they were down by 2 scores before the Carr interception, which I do think was pass interference, he was all over Waller. But whatever, I guess we're not calling it. There's some questionable calls. The worst one in this was the taunting call. That was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, after the explanation, I kind of understand. Apparently, spiking a ball on the opposition sidelines is taunting no matter what the circumstance. So
I know. It's
understandable.
Just stupid.
I don't agree with you on the on that field goal attempt, because we're 4th and 1. 1 yard, like that's typically a given for this Raider offense to get that 1 yard. I mean, we're gambling on 4th and 3, 4th and 4, and not gambling on 4th and 1. So I disagree on that call. So
yeah, maybe. I mean, I guess I'm just so used to this Raider defense, this Raider offense not doing it in that situation. It's kind of been the way they always go with, and just how automatic he has been, and you're saving yourself some time there. Like with the way the Chargers were going, though, and just converting every single time, you're like, well, we have to kind of go a punch or chance. I think they are right there with this Chargers team. Obviously, the news are going to come out. I think the one thing the Raiders did is save themselves from embarrassment in the media side tomorrow. People like, oh, the Raiders aren't for real. This Raider team is a joke. I think they at least showed that they are one of the upper echelon teams in the AFC, but they do have holes, and they're holes that can't be fixed this year. They're looking at the schedule coming up here. They have the Bears next week. That should be a win for them and get them to 4-1. And then after that, it's the Broncos, who just lost their quarterback in Teddy Bridgewater. So that should be a win. Then they get the Eagles. That game's I'm a little bit worried about with how Justin Fields can move the ball, but they should win that. And then they get the Giants. And really, if you look where this Raider schedule is going, Jason, they have to win all these games, because after that, it's a gauntlet for this team. They have to go to what would be at that point 4, 5, 6, 7, and 1 at that point, because after that, they go Kansas City, Cincinnati, who's been a hot team, Cowboys on Thanksgiving, maybe a little bit of an easier game with Washington, but then you go Cleveland, and then you go to the Browns again. And then you finish off Broncos, Colts, Chargers. So that is just brutal right there, of Chiefs, Bengals, Cowboys, and then you face the Chiefs again. So you have to get to the 7-1, because I think about 10 wins is going to be good enough for that wild card. So, this was, I didn't think that they would go 3-0 with this year. I thought maybe that Ravens game, maybe that Steelers game, they'd maybe split those two. So it sucks to lose to a divisional opponent, but now they really have to put pedal to the metal before the bye. They have to sweep this before the bye. It's crucial for them where the season is going, and I think they showed an ability that they can do that.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess we'll get into some of our awards that we're handing out here, if we can. So who are you picking for the star of this week?
Man, it's hard. I guess it's Hunter Renfrow, to be honest. Every possession that he had, he got the touchdown. He stopped the 4th down fake there. Got a few crucial conversions. So I give it to Hunter Renfrow. And on the defensive side, I give it to Denzel Perryman. He had a great game for the Raiders today. Denzel Perryman did. Yeah. I mean, Yannick and Crosby had a lot of pressure at times, but I thought Perryman was all over. And like I mentioned, he almost popped that ball out of Jared Cook's arm to get them out of that 4th down situation.
Yeah, I definitely agree there with Perryman. Offense, I'm gonna go with this is tough, because there were some key plays there that were giving us hope, and one was, of course, the deep ball to Ruggs. Ruggs, I find Ruggs amazing, how he can come up with some of the catches he's coming up with. Waller played a great game. Some great receptions. But I don't know. It's tough to pick an offensive one for this week. It wasn't a very good offensive game, but I'm going to have to give it to Waller because it's a name that I kept hearing. At least 2 or 3 great catches that he made. I would have went with Carr. Carr didn't play a horrible game, but I
He
mean,
looked he looked very shook in the first. Like, I
yeah,
can blame the offensive line, but at times he seemed very timid in the pocket.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. There was definitely something there. Josh Jacobs didn't have a bad game, 40 yards on 13 carries. I mean, his first game
Yeah,
back, right, from an injury. So
yeah,
I
against a
wasn't
good
expecting,
defense.
yeah, I wasn't expecting a whole lot from him anyway. So not a terrible game at all. How about a play of the week? Was there one play
I
in
mean,
this game that stood out
I
in your
mean, for
mind?
us, it was probably that Ruggs catch that was awesome. But I mean, if anything, I guess it probably would be, if you want to go more importantly, be that Waller catch. It was a phenomenal catch, just catching it over the DB. That was unreal. I mean, I would have said the Ruggs catch if it would have led to something, and it seemed like
Yeah,
it would because we had the momentum. But I'd probably go with the Waller catch because at least it was a touchdown.
yeah, and a perfectly placed ball, really.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
how about your fantasy picks of this coming week? You're a big
So
fantasy
you're going
guy.
against, it's a different side of things now, right? Because you're going against the Bears, and that's still a good defense, but I think we're going to be able to open up the offense as much because we're not going to have to worry about their offense as much with Justin Fields or Andy Dalton or whoever it is in that game. Like, I don't want to say it's a guaranteed Raider win because nothing is. I'm sure they're going to go down 7-0 or 14-0 in that game because that just seems to be the way this Raider season is going at this point. We'll have to see where Jacobs is as far as the
Mhm.
health goes. I know Peyton Barber was taken to the tent at one point, but I would expect in this game this might be a big Darren Waller game. I think he hasn't had he had a nice game this game, like you mentioned, but I think he's going to have a big game in this game, and maybe even Brian Edwards, because Brian Edwards going to do. I think he had one catch at the very end there, so maybe a bigger Edwards game to two guys that kind of keep a load on. Even Drake did nothing this game, and I don't think there was many opportunities for him to be the pass catcher. And you kind of look at some of the money on this team, the way they spent it. You spent $11 million on Kenyon Drake, and that probably would have been used better on the O line.
Yeah, that you're definitely right about Jacobs. Jacobs is definitely someone to watch.
Mhm.
Anybody that you would maybe not take a risk on this week in fantasy?
It's so hard with their receivers to really know each week. If you have a Hunter Renfro or you have an Edwards, I think maybe I would sit Edwards this week just from what we saw this week. It wasn't a consistent basis. He seems to be more of a light up in the fourth or overtime. But if you have the Edwards, if you have Edwards, I'd sit him. But if you have Hunter Renfro, and I think our buys is coming up this week. Do we have buys this week? Just gonna double check here.
Was that this week?
No, next week. So next week you have buys.
Yeah.
That's when you're going to start to want to use. So, I mean, if you're in a deeper league and you need like a flex play, yeah, maybe Hunter Renfro is the spot. But there's only really 4 Raiders I'm playing, and that's Carr, Waller, Jacobs, and Ruggs. That's it. I don't know if I would play maybe Renfro. Like I said, I wouldn't play Edwards. I know people have had Edwards and he's played big for them, but I wouldn't play Edwards in this game. I think Ruggs can have a big breakout game, but I really look at Waller. So yeah, the 4 Raiders there with Waller, with Ruggs, with Carr. I think Carr is going to have a big game. Again, I think it's going to be a little bit of a comeback now. The media might dump him down a little bit. Who knows after this performance? We'll see what happens.
So besides the taunting call, any mistakes stick out in your mind this game that were
So
blatant?
many.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the KJ Wright call or the KJ Wright play on the Charger touchdown?
Remind me of that one?
Not much of an effort there from KJ, I thought.
No. That was a little bit weird on that play. I also felt too on the left side at times, corners there was the slant play with Jared Cook that they kept on running and nobody was there, especially in the first half. They were able to get so much open space for their receivers without any coverage. And this is still when Mullen and Arnett are in the game. So that's got to be something they tighten up a little bit. Still a lack of blitzing from Gus Bradley. I think he's only blitzed like 5 times this year. And you could tell when there was pressure for all the great things we say about Justin Herbert. I did notice a few times when you got the pressure on him, he's still, still a little bit, hesitant to throw when pressure is coming to him, and throws a little bit erratic when pressure is coming towards him. And we only got 1 or 2 of those really coming at him. I thought we should blitz a little bit more. And coming to this game against the Bears, whoever it is, whether it's Dalton or if it's Fields, I mean, if it's Fields, it's going to be a whole different set of defense you're going to have to do because of his mobility that he has. But you're also looking at a terrible O-line, maybe the worst O-line in the league next to ours. Bears is up there. It just the front line is doing good, but we have to figure some stuff out in the secondary, especially if there's injuries this week. And at times the Chargers were so easily able to find one-on-one coverage and split away. We got to fix that and just change the play calling, man. It's kind of like getting familiar to the Seahawks fans that I have for their play calling, right? Of the just being so stubborn with the run when the passing is so open, when you have so many weapons in the pass like we do. You could tell when Carr is able to just kind of let it flow and find Hunter and find Ruggs and find Waller. You get to more of a flow there, and then it can open up for Jacobs. And it doesn't seem like they're doing any different running plays for Jacobs. It's really just an ISO run. Every single time. There's not really a draw or any other type of play. It's just an ISO run down the middle every time for Jacobs.
Yeah, and I found, I can't remember what play it was, but one play that stuck out to me in the fourth quarter, I can't remember who it was that received the ball, but I believe it was a 3rd down play, and the receiver caught the ball a yard short of the 1st down, but just stood there after catching the ball and didn't move. And yeah, you know what play I'm talking about. He just stood there and didn't move and waited for the tackle to come.
That happened at the end in the 4-2. There was a play where Edwards caught it, and he just stood there
Edwards.
Like, jump!
Yes, Edwards.
Jump!
Yes.
What are you doing?
Yes. Or turn and fall or something. He just stood there.
Yeah, it was very weird.
Yeah, so definitely gonna have to tighten up some things. And I find a lot that I think Carr's going too much for the deep ball now. I think that it's gotten a lot of attention, and I think he's going to it a little too often now, where the short, quick hitters are working.
Here's the thing too, and I'm a Carr fan, but man, there's some stuff with Ruggs there where he has just been gone, right? And you see a guy like Pat Mahomes, what he's able to do with Tyreek Hill. And there's a few passes in this game. If he would have spot on in the last game too, remember the one where Ruggs was gone in that Dolphins game. And he just hasn't been able to hit those passes correctly. He's done a good job, and he definitely is going to take a drop in the MVP rankings this year. Herbert will jump ahead of him in the MVP rankings. And I'm not trying to criticize Carr as much, but it's frustrating that Ruggs has definitely taken it to another level this year. And there was the one play he was gone. It was a touchdown, and Carr widely overthrew him. But he separated himself perfectly enough. If he catches that, Ruggs is gone. And he had the same thing in the Dolphins game. And even the one that got the pass interference, luckily we got the pass interference, that one was an underthrow. But Ruggs has done such a good job at departing himself in these deep throws. Carr's got to get better at finding him on those, because those are automatic points.
Yeah, there was another one on what would have been the right side. Carr looking downfield would have been on the right side, a bomb down the field, and I don't know who that was that missed it. Was that Waller?
It was Ruggs again. That was Ruggs
again. It was Ruggs again. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if those connect, and if Carlson hits that field goal, I mean, different game, but what ifs, right?
Yeah, I think we have seen a lot of people have been asking the question this year, when they cut, they let Nelson Aguilar, he went to the Patriots and hasn't done anything with the Patriots. And then they had John Brown, and people thought he was going to be the receiver 1. And so then when they looked at this receiver card, like, who's going to be the receiver 1? And I would say Ruggs has definitely looked like the first round pick that he can be. He definitely can be that. But some of those overthrows and underthrows, it really frustrates you at times, because you're just like, because he can just go. Ruggs is just, other than Tyreek Hill, there's no one faster in the league than him. And it's frustrating that Carr can't find him on those.
Yeah. So next week we got the Bears back home
Mm-hmm.
in LA, where
Vegas.
I'd say it's a whole different situation, but this game was pretty
Yeah.
insane with the Raiders fans.
Yeah.
I was just looking, and it looks like 4.5 point spread,
Yeah, it jumped up. It was 3.5 and it
45
jumped up.
total. Yeah, it's 4.5 now. So what are you predicting in this game? You kind of Bears are 2-2. It's not updated yet, but we're 3-1 now.
It sounds like Dalton might play in this game too. It might not be Justin Fields.
Well, it's funny because I'm looking at the score app on my phone, and I open it up and it says key players Justin Fields and Derek Carr.
Yeah,
So
I'm not.
yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because like some news sources are saying that Dalton's going to play in this game, and some are saying that Justin Fields is going to play. And if I were the Bears, I wouldn't announce who my quarterback is until the Saturday. You had to make the
Right.
Raiders plan for two different quarterbacks. Although I guess like with the Bears, and this could be the game too that gets Matt Nagy fired on the Bears side of things. It's always personal with the Raiders going into these games just because of the Khalil Mack factor of everything. They may not be with Ty Montgomery's, and they may not have Tyreek Cohen either, the running back situation. So this could be finally, I hope, a Raider game we don't have to sweat out too much. Like I said, these next 4 games, these are all must wins for the Raiders with the upcoming tight schedule with Browns and the Chiefs and a Bengals team that's frisky this year in that side of things. This is a must win game for the Raiders. It's in Vegas. I do see them coming back angry. They just I don't know how you get over these slow starts, but they have to get over these slow starts because I think you would agree, Jason, even kind of taking yourself out of being a Raider fan, this does look like a good football team. But it's the slow starts. Today it came back and bit them in the ass. They were able to come back in the Baltimore game and make it work, in the Dolphins game and make it work. But tonight, Chargers are just too good of a team. Even if they came back and get that touchdown, I'm assuming the Chargers would have maybe tried to come back, and who knows what would happen. We can't play the what ifs like you said. But I think they proved they're a good football team. But you can't get down to good football teams like this, or the Chiefs, or the Browns, or maybe the Bills down the road. You just can't do that.
Yeah, so back to the game coming up next weekend. Who I haven't been paying attention to the Bears a whole lot. Who have they been
Mhm.
starting in games? Has it been back and forth?
It's been 2 for Dalton, 2 for Fields because Dalton got hurt.
Okay.
So that's what we're seeing if Dalton's going to be back this week or not. Fields
Okay.
hasn't been too impressive, but there is that mobility there that you have to practice for differently. But like I said, they have a terrible O-line. I don't think the Bears haven't beat anyone too impressive this far. They beat the Lions last week, and they also beat – who else did they beat? And then they beat the Bengals. So,
Oh,
like I
okay.
said, Bengals are a frisky team, more or less, but then the Browns, they murdered them, and the Rams, they murdered them too. So I kind of look at the Rams and the Browns and the Raiders, all kind of high-powered offenses. So not an ideal situation for the Bears coming into that game.
Not a high-powered Lions offense.
No, I mean, for the Bears and themselves, like that was a big win for them because now they face Raiders, Packers, Buccaneers, 49ers. And then they face the Steelers and they go into a bye. Steelers, not so much, but that Buccaneers and Packers and Raiders, I think we could. If you had Matt Nagy as first coach fired, I think you're going to win that bet after potentially these next 3 games.
All right. Well, I guess we'll see what happens with that next weekend. So
Yeah.
straying away from the Raiders a little bit right now. What did you think of the hype and the actual game? Tom Brady returning to New England.
Oh, it was so bad. It was such a bad game. It sucked too because I knew the rain was coming. It killed my over/under parlay, so that sucked. That was unfortunate.
I was flipping back and forth to the score on my app on my phone, and I was like, "Oh, New England's coming back here. They're going to score and take the lead here." And then I flip back, and I'm like, "Oh, they lost."
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I think the one thing you did see in that game is we've seen that Mac Jones can be a capable quarterback in this league, but I question why Belichick didn't give him more. It's kind of like we talked about the 4th and 1 call tonight. They had a situation where they probably should have gone for it because Mac was rolling. Raiders had a situation where Carr was rolling. You should have gone with it. And they chose to kick. They missed the kick. did the same thing for us tonight. We missed the kick. Sometimes I feel like if you have your quarterback and you're rolling, you go for it. And I think that's one of the reasons why the Chargers won tonight to bring it back. Is the Chargers, whenever there was a situation where their back was against the wall, they trusted Justin Herbert, and he was able to convert and help them go forward in the game.
Yeah, they definitely had all things going right on their fourth down conversions, that's for sure. Or
They
most
did,
of them
yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, it was fine. It definitely didn't live the hype. I mean, 25 million, solid rating. That's kind of what I predicted on the pod I did with Peter Klein. We predicted the rating be 25, so good on us to hit that rating there. I think the game this week will actually be a much more exciting game with Bills and Kansas City. That game is going to be, and that could be the AFC Championship game potentially. It's a very exciting game, and I think it's a big game for Kansas City to not go under 500 again. Bills look like the best team in the AFC right now. Both Bills or Chargers, I'd say, are the two best teams I've seen in the AFC so far. So that should be a really exciting Sunday game.
Yeah, so I guess we'll tune in this weekend, see what happens there, and with the Raiders at home, of course, to the Bears.
Yeah,
and
must-win game.
It's funny because it's well, I mean, in the sense that the schedule is going to loosen up a tiny bit, but then we have to definitely face like you said, a gauntlet towards the end. So these games in the next few weeks definitely are must-win games.
Well, yeah, like remember, there's the extra game this year that you have, right? So
Right.
that comes into a factor. But to get to 7-1 before that Kansas City game is so huge because, like I said, I think about 10 wins will make you. I was looking at the AFC, and if I just did the picks right now, where for the AFC, I would probably go and say the Ravens probably win the NFC North. I'd probably still say the Kansas City will win the AFC West. You have Buffalo, you have Tennessee, and then you're looking at the wild card, and I think it's probably the Browns, the Raiders, and the Chargers right now. Because outside of that, there's not a lot of teams that are really impressing me. The Jags are done. Jets are done. Pats, maybe, but I think they're done. Dolphins are done. Colts aren't good. Texans are bad. Ben Roethlisberger's done. So if, as for the Raiders, by a process of elimination, the wild card is definitely up for grabs this year for us because the AFC is pretty bad. I think you're looking at the NFC overall where that's a much tougher place right now to be. I mean, I think you have the 3, maybe 4 Super Bowl favorites in there with the Cardinals, the Cowboys, the Packers, the Bucks, and the Rams are probably your 5 Super Bowl favorites right now. I don't know who the Super Bowl favorite would be from the AFC. Maybe the Bills. Kansas City has struggled with the defense right now.
Yeah, that's what I would say as well. I predicted after game 1 this season, after the Monday nighter to open the season this year, that Raiders were going to win 11. So
hey, I think that path is there.
10 for sure. Hopefully 11 would be great.
Well, if the NFL, a dream scenario, especially with the concert they announced this week with Dr. Dre and Snoop and Kendrick Lamar, a dream scenario for that LA Super Bowl would be Rams and Raiders for what that concert is.
Yeah, that would
be the dream Super Bowl, I think. But I mean, the way right now, it's only week 4, but right now, the way I've seen all the teams, I would say the best team I've seen so far is the Cowboys.
Yeah. Hey, maybe it's scripted to end that way.
Who knows? I mean, and the Chargers, I think they had a great game tonight. Justin Herbert was fantastic tonight, but I do think this Raider team, when they come to Vegas, they will beat them. I do think this Raider team can beat this Chargers team. I think they figured a lot of stuff out in the second half. What did you kind of see in this game that impressed you and then de-impressed you?
Well, the thing that didn't impress me was, as you mentioned before, the slow start, and you're right. We have to get over the slow starts because looking back, have we opened the scoring in any of the games?
Nope.
No, we haven't, have we?
Nope.
Was it the Steelers? Did we?
Nope. We're down by a touchdown.
Oh, that's right. They scored the first touchdown. Yeah, so we haven't opened the scoring in any game. So
nope.
We've been playing from behind. Now, keeping that in mind, the thing that has impressed me is how the team hasn't given up. The
Yes.
team, comes back. They play really good in the second half. Mind you, this game, mid fourth quarter, they kind of they made some really good plays, but then it almost seemed like they gave up. At with 5 minutes left, or when uh who was it that makes the catch and just stands there and
Edwards.
yeah,
Yeah,
Edwards.
after the Chargers touchdown, they had like a half-assed
It
kind of
deflated
drive.
them. It deflated them
Yeah.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's really impressed me. Yeah, I mean the defense really impresses me.
Yeah.
If they can keep it up for a solid 60 minutes, that would be great. Keep the scoring under 28 for the opposition. That'd be great. So yeah,
Yeah.
the defense has really impressed me.
I mean, there's going to be a lot of key injuries to watch out for going to that Bears game with the secondary. I really hope Mullen's okay because he's such a key piece to this team. And Arnett, if not, I believe you'll probably see Hawklet and Dix because I know he was he was activated a while ago, so he could be someone that you see on Sunday as Clinton Dix, potentially be in that role, veteran in this league. So it'd be interesting to see him. I mean, the one thing you are seeing from this Raider team as we start winding down here is some of the draft picks are coming back to really bite them right now because Arnett has looked up and down at times. Leatherwood got a lot of penalties in this game.
Yeah.
He hasn't looked tremendous at all. So two of those first round picks just not hitting the great way. Some people were saying Ruggs was a bust, and I disagree. I think Ruggs, I think he is ready to really bust out, and we've seen it in the last few games. He's ready to really hit that next level. So I'm not going to say anything bad about Henry Ruggs at all. But Leatherwood, I've been a defender of it. It's 4 games in. He's a rookie. He was huge in the touchdown that Waller got. He pancaked Joey Bosa on that. So that was huge on that play. But they're definitely missing a Richie Canito, who now got put into IR. The O-line just got to step up. That's a key part. And like you were saying there, Jason, you can't have these slow starts because they're going to kill you.
Yeah.
And when you face good teams like this, even the Bears probably not going to be a problem. Broncos probably not going to be a problem. But if you go down, let's say when you get to the Eagles and you're down 7 or 14 to the Eagles against Jalen Hurts, that's not something you want to even tempt fate with.
Yeah, and another name that I feel didn't really step up in this game, I didn't hear much about him, was Max Crosby.
He got the pressure on him a lot, but they
Yeah.
did a good job. Slater on the O-line of the Chargers, a guy the Raiders desperately wanted the draft, but the Chargers were ahead of them in the draft. He's been phenomenal. The Chargers drafted so well. I mean, even Sante Samuel Jr., he had the one pass interference call in that. But other than that, I thought he played good. He was the defensive rookie of the month, and for a reason. And I thought Slater, the tackle that they drafted, he was great all day, keeping Max out of harm. And Yannick Ngakoue, you didn't hear his name very much either.
Yeah, the only time I did hear it was good when I heard his name because he got a good rush there, which contributed to that one sack in I think it was late in the third quarter. So, which turned the ball back in our favor, but then we didn't do anything with it.
The veterans have definitely been stepping up. Casey Hayward has been huge.
Yeah,
Quinton Jefferson, who got hurt in this game, that sucked. He's been good. Denzel Perriman, to me, through 4 games, has been the most consistent defender, though, has been Denzel Perriman. And we just got him for like a 6th-round pick from the Panthers. It was a steal of a trade. I mean, then I look at the secondary, and I'm just like, the Jags were practically begging anybody to take C.J. Henderson off of them. And maybe you can say he was a bust, but he was still a former 1st-round pick just 2 years ago, and they got a 6th-round pick from the Panthers for him. We couldn't have given a 6th-round pick to get C.J. Henderson with how kind of light our secondary is. That kind of, now looking in hindsight of that kind of pisses me off that we weren't in it for that. As the trade deadline looms, and like I said, the AFC is going to have a lot of bottom dwellers in that. Hopefully we can maybe talk some team into maybe doing some dealing with us, because, I mean, I think that's the one bright side for us, Jason, is the AFC is bad at the bottom. it is really, really bad this year. There's some really bad teams. And it's not a good draft either. It's a lighter draft. There's no like unbelievable game-changing stud, especially a quarterback this year. You don't have that quarterback that you're going to be able to rely on to draft in this draft this year. So it's going to be an interesting draft. Just you want the first pick. You'll always take a first pick, but it's a much lighter in the draft this year.
Yeah, definitely not like the last draft. It was very quarterback heavy, especially at the top end.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. Well, I guess we'll find out what we do against the Bears next weekend.
Yes, sir.
Sunday game, I believe, at 2:00 our time.
2:00 Mountain.
2:05 Mountain.
2:05. Yeah.
2:05 Mountain. We'll find out if we can beat the Bears at home, and I think we have a pretty good chance of coming back strong.
I think so. I think it be a good night. It's the last Raider home game where they don't have to have the Knights playing at the same time. But after that, if you're traveling to Vegas, the Knights will be playing at the same time. So it's exciting for everyone down there in Vegas. I know they're excited with that coming up, and hopefully they can move it to 4-1 here next week. And I mean, look, it's just as much as, they're not at top of the division right now, things can turn very quickly next week, especially with the Chargers are facing a high-powered Browns team, and Kansas City's facing the Bills. This time, or whenever we record next week, we could be right back to being like, well, the Raiders are on top of the division again because the Chargers lost to the Browns and the Chiefs lost to the Bills. It could happen just like that. So, yeah.
Back on top.
Back on top pretty fast here. So, I'll end on this. Disappointing first half, but I think at the very minimum, this team showed why they can be a good football team, why people had them in the top 10 of rankings. I expect the ESPNs and the Bleacher Reports to drop them out of the top 10 and overreact and whatnot. I'm not going to be shocked by seeing that tomorrow for the power rankings. I'm sure people are. I wouldn't be shocked if some people drop us to like 17 or 16 just to have an overreaction. I think this team showed in the second half, specifically on the defensive side, that this is going to be a team that is a playoff team. I have no doubts this is a playoff team. They showed me enough in that second that this is a playoff team, but they got to get back up to better starts. And I think, like I said too, you don't ever want to lose any game, but losing this early, especially to a division team that at times you thought you could come back and win this game so fast, so quickly, I think that leads a lot of momentum to this team of things that they know they can do. And now we have a skid here that is possible to win and get some momentum back before we have a big Sunday night game against Chiefs, but one game at a time. That's the main thing. And just win, baby.
Just win, baby.
Yeah.
I'm fully expecting all the comments tomorrow to be throwing Carr under the bus. So
yep.
So we shall see.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you so much. We're back next week. Recording on recording on Monday night actually, and dropping Wednesday. So
yes, sir.
Or Tuesday.
Thanks, everyone.
Tuesday.
Cheers.
All right.
Go Raiders.
Have a good night, everyone. Hey, everyone. I'm here to tell you about a new craft distillery in Calgary, Broken Spirits Distillery. These guys are making some amazing craft spirits and cocktails, from spiced sugarcane to different styles of gin. Broken Spirits are proud to be part of the Puck and Pigskin podcast and want to offer you 15% off your purchase, either in-house at the distillery or online at brokenspirits.ca. Punch in offer code BROTHERS15 to claim your discount. Go in for a cocktail and check them out. You won't be disappointed. I am joined now by Jerett and Travis Rion from Two Drunk Brothers and a Podcast, which is essentially about sports and sports betting and all kinds of sports goodies and stuff like that. Gentlemen, how you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good.
That's good. That's good. No jabs at me yet for the terrible showing last night.
I think
finally paid off betting against that. You see, is the time we didn't come on the show that our bet hit against the Raiders because we weren't together last week.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. We jinxed it.
Exactly. That's what it was. Who do you guys even have? Oh, you guys got the Giants or the Bears this week?
Bears. Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, I'm on Bears plus 5.5.
Is it 5.5? It was 4.5 last night.
Yeah, it's jumped up a lot. I don't know. Like the 5.5, like I have this rule of like when you're betting, like anything between like 4.5 to 6 or 4.5 to 5.5, even 4 to 5.5 is just a weird number. And I don't like betting the favorites in between 4 and 5.5.
So actually, just to keep it really short and frank, me and Jarrett are trying like an alternate method this week where we lined out our first kind of like initial knee-jerk reactions on 10 games of NFL, and we picked a side of the spread that we wanted, and our least confident one, so 6 through 10, we're betting the opposite of what we liked on, and Jarrett liked the Raiders minus 5.5, so he's betting the opposite of Bears plus 5.5.
Yep. It's this strategy we saw that we're testing out this week on our podcast that we just recorded. So we'll see how it performs. If it performs well, maybe something you do. So like Travis said, you rank 1 through 10 your favorite spreads of the week for the NFL, and on your rank 6 through 10, you bet the opposite of what you would normally do.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting to see what comes out of that.
It will be. Like Travis had the Packers -3 on his like bottom 6 through 10. And he's always doing Bengals +3, and I hate that. So,
but if it ends up hitting, then maybe we're on to something.
That's right. So, besides that, do you have any picks for me this week?
I'll go. Yeah. I'll kick it off. I know you. You
Yeah.
want to go, Travis, or do you want me to go?
Nope, you got it. Go for it.
So I know your fans are mostly NFL. So I will give you an NFL pick that I personally like. And it is the Titans -4. I like that pick a lot. I don't think they lose back-to-back games. They're coming off a bad loss against the Jets. I think they took the week and they sat A.J. Brown. They sat Julio Jones to get that rest. I just don't see them losing back-to-back games. They're definitely going to win the AFC South. And I think they go down there and they get this victory pretty easily. They're playing Jacksonville. So
yeah, the line. I feel like the line is so faded towards recency bias because of the loss on the Jets. If they beat the Jets, this line would be 7.5, 8. So I like the 4.
Plus Jacksonville dealing with that Urban Meyer drama. Who knows what's going to happen with that?
Yeah.
What drama? What are you talking about?
Cheating on his wife in Columbus, Ohio, man. Living the life, right?
And all those players hate him right now.
Yeah.
Hey, is grinding cheating?
Well, that was only what was on camera. So,
man,
that's hilarious. I like that play a lot. My one of my favorite plays, and I'll go with my next best one, is the Panthers -3.5 against the Eagles. The Eagles really honestly have not looked good outside of one game. Yes, they kind of kept it competitive against the Chiefs, but I feel like a lot of people are going to do that this year with how bad their defense is. Then you put it on the flip side. The Panthers defense has been rock solid. They allow only 276 yards a game, 16 points. Meanwhile, Sam Darnold is just this whole different version that Panthers thought, he was going to be good, but I don't think anyone else outside of Carolina did. So he's completely shocked a lot of us. So I like Panthers -3.5 in this one at home.
All right, Jarrett, you gotta get another one for me.
I got another good one for you. I don't want to steal Travis. Travis, you gonna talk about that?
You gonna do our consensus Bills pick?
Our consensus Buffalo Bills. Yeah, we love the Buffalo Bills in 2 plays in this game. Depending on where you bet at, it's +2.5, +3 for Bills. We love the Bills to cover that spread. We also like the money line. It's +150. We think the Bills are going to go into Kansas City and beat the Chiefs. They have looked, in my opinion, outside of week 1, which was an anomaly, I think, against the Steelers, they've looked like the most complete team in the NFL. And the Chiefs, like Travis just said, they can't really stop anything. And I think the Bills' offense can be way too explosive for them in this one. I don't mind the over in that game either. But definitely Bills +2.5, +3. And money line.
I mean, the Chargers already showed early this year that it's not as hard to win in Arrowhead as what it used to be. So we'll see.
Yeah. Are the Chargers any good?
Yeah, no joke. That pass rush last night was insane.
Yeah.
Are you nervous now?
Well, I'm not really nervous. We need to win a couple more games here before we get to the really hard part of the schedule, which is the last half of the schedule is not going to be good. So, if we can win a few more games here before the last half of the schedule, I'll be fine. But
What's the last half? You get the Chiefs twice. Get the Chiefs twice. Chargers again.
Chargers. I think the Rams. The Rams? No. Oof. I can't remember. It was a hell of a schedule though.
That's tough.
Yeah, it sounds like a gauntlet. I mean, right now the AFC West is a gauntlet on its own.
Yeah, so we got right now we got the Bears, Broncos, and Eagles. The Bears.
That's 3 wins.
I think so too.
Yeah. Well, the Eagles may be tough.
No, your toughest game in that stretch is the Broncos.
Yeah,
and then we got the Giants. Should be a win.
The Giants looked good last week.
Then we got the Chiefs, the Bengals, the Cowboys, Washington, Chiefs, Browns, Broncos, Colts, and Chargers.
It's really not that tough.
No, I don't think so either.
Well, there's a few games in there that
there's obviously a few games in there, but I think there's only 4 or 5 losses in there.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I guess that we'd come out with 11 wins at the end of the season, so we'll see.
That would be nice.
Yeah,
but yeah,
that happened.
The pass rush last night, we were not handling that at all very well.
No, definitely not.
That was rough. I mean, the Chargers defense they've given the Cowboys, the Chiefs, and now the Raiders and the Ravens all fits. So
yeah.
We're just lucky that we have our defense played in the first half, because that could have easily been a 28-0 game at the halftime.
Exactly. So, but either way, is that all you need from us? All those picks are good. Hopefully we can go 3-0.
Throw out one more, Travis. Give him your lock of the week. Your college.
Yeah, what's your lock of the week?
My lock of the week, college lock. Jerett liked this one a lot too, so I'm gonna roll with it. It is BYU -5 at home versus Boise State. BYU is a team; they're 5-0. Boise State's 2-3. Really, honestly, haven't looked very impressive on either sides of the ball. Their offense had a tough time getting clicking earlier on in the year, but BYU, on the other hand, they're just dynamic in all sorts of the game. Their quarterback came in. He was learning under Zach Wilson, which obviously is a big bonus. And then they have Tyler Algier, who might be one of the better, if not the best, running backs in college football. So at home, 5 points, easy money.
Easy money. You heard it from Travis. Easy money.
Man, now you're making me start to go back on my word.
What could go wrong?
The only thing go wrong is you lose. That's the worst thing that can happen. I think we'll be all right.
Exactly. You just got to make sure you cover on another game, right? Isn't that how it works?
Yep. You don't want to get chasing too much, because then you get into what you call chasing, which Travis and I have chased plenty of second half Sunday night football spreads. We've chased plenty of 11 p.m. Hawaii games after a bad Saturday. So that's what you don't want to get into. Just our advice is put your bets out for the day at the beginning and let them ride. Don't chase anything at the end. If you lose $100, make it up the next day on NFL Sunday.
There you go. That's great advice right there. As always, thanks again, boys.
Thanks for having us.
Looking forward to next week.
No worries. Have a great night, guys.
See ya.
See ya.